bro. I'll be 33 next month. So like, and I've
Mhm.
been doing this since I was 15, bro. In my mind, I had told myself a long time ago, if I stop, it's never gonna happen. Just that simple. And actually getting the summer record, that was almost 10 years, bro. That was a cool 9 years. It was a slow burn, bro.
Welcome to the Made in the Studio podcast, where we spotlight some of the creatives behind your favorite songs. I'm your host, Desmond A, and today we have a special guest. This guest has produced records for LES, Girlfriend, and the hit record for Summer Walker, Heart of a Woman. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to the podcast Mr. Tavaras Jordan.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. Now, the first thing I want to do is actually get a little bit into your background. So, how did you find yourself in music in general, and then getting into music production?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm from a small town called Johnsonville, right outside Fayetteville. Um, yeah, man. So I got into music just growing up. You know what I'm saying? I come from a musical family. Like my grandmother, she's a minister of music. I have cousins that play instruments as well in the church. So, it was something that was around before me. You know what I'm saying? And I started playing the drums when I was super, super young, bro, probably like 6 years old or so. Um, so yeah, it was something that I was literally born into. You know what I'm saying? So it's always been there, bro. And through that, that's how I got into production, playing the drums. I'm a drummer, so I remember being young, man, and just being like, man, like I love the drum programming so much, and some of my favorite songs growing up, whether it was Usher, My Way, or You Make Me Wanna, and all the way to listening to a lot of early Cash Money stuff growing up, man. I've always been a fan of production, bro, but I got my start as a church musician, so that's the foundation.
Being that you started from church and you started as a drummer, these days producers are doing a lot of like clicking, not really knowing too much music theory, using a lot of loops. So what's your perspective on producers using loops, things like that, as opposed to really knowing music theory?
Even with that, I have a interesting background because I don't know music theory. You know, now granted, I grew up in uh, a musical household, and all my family that play the keys, they know theory. They know how to read music, the whole nine. And I don't know how to read music at all, bruh. I had the opportunity to learn whenever I was super young. Like when I started out playing the drums, I had the opportunity to learn how to learn theory as well. But man, I remember being young and just being like, that's not for me. That's too much work. It's like I can just play the drums. I don't know, I kind of just had that gift, just know how to play by ear. But as I got older, man, or specifically in high school when I started producing, I was like, man, I should have been learning theory this whole time. Cause yeah, I'm cool as far as having that ear and knowing how to put chords together. But like if I understood it on a deeper level as knowing theory, you know, I don't know. I feel like I would be way better than I am. But to answer your question though, bro, like I feel like I, I'm blessed, bro. I'm just blessed to have that background as a musician first. So I didn't grow up clicking through FL Studio. Now granted, that's what I started doing when I started making beats. But even before then, I had easily 10 years of musicianship under me as a drummer and growing up around a lot of keyboard and organ players, you know what I'm saying? But man, I think producers shouldn't rely on loops and outsourcing. Like it's cool,
Yeah.
but like a lot of producers rely on it, bro, and soon as they open up FLs, first thing they're doing is going to go find a loop on Splice or going to
Yeah.
go find a loop here and then throw some drums on it. And to me personally, bro, it take the fun out of the creativity. It take the fun out of creating the art. Cause like it's crazy, but like, man, I guess I can say, like, bro, I come from the old school, bro. Like, you better know how to play something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
yeah, man, but I think being born in like the early 90s, like it's kind of like it's at that point where it's kind of like bridging the gap. Like I seen the producers before me using a lot of hardware, whether it was keyboards or MPCs, But also, I'm from the era of Lex Luger and Metro Boomin and Sonny Digital, cats like that, all us around the same age. So I remember '09, 2010 when, the new trap wave was taking off and people like, damn, like these boys getting Grammys off FL Studio, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
um, but I just feel like, bro, producers shouldn't rely on it, man. But at the same time, I can't really say too much because I don't know theory at all, bro. I'm just blessed to know how to put some cool chords together, man. You know what I'm saying? And obviously I'm a drummer, so my drum program is there. But yeah, I think a lot of people are relying on it too much and using it as a cheat code, bro. You know what I'm saying? To be honest, that's really how I feel. But oh, to each their own, bro. I don't know, man. It's yeah, and I know that's a touchy subject with a lot of producers because a lot of people will say, well, oh, the artists don't care just as long as it sound good, or the people don't care as long as it sound
Right.
good. But it's like for myself, I want to know, like, damn, yeah, people love that beat because I played them chords and I played that bass line. And I did that, you know what I'm saying? So, I got some homies that, way iller than me on the keys. So, why would I not get some chord progressions from them and then, put my sauce on it or vice versa. I got homies I sing chord progressions too. I don't rely on it, bro. Like it's crazy because it seemed like making a beat by yourself these days is a superpower.
Right.
And I kind of come up to where in the era where you were almost expected to do that. You know what I'm saying? Or you may have your session musician or your homie playing the keys with you mostly, but a lot of times y'all were kind of like a team, like no different than Jermaine Dupri and I think it's Manuel Seal
Yep.
and Brian Michael Cox, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. A lot of people just relying on the speedy process of being able to go get a loop, throw some drums on and call it a day. I mean, it's cool, but I don't know, bro. I just like knowing, man, I played that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Yeah, I can definitely feel you on that. It's like maybe there's a middle ground. Maybe it's good to know how to play some and then
right,
using loops also. But if it's time for a cook up, does everybody have to reach into Splice? Does everybody have to reach into their folder of loops? I don't know.
right.
Maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. I don't know.
I
Oh,
it's definitely a new day and age, bro. Like
yeah.
these kids, like I mean, just think a kid that was born in 2010. They were 15 now. All they know is splice and
Yeah.
loop makers and midis and you know what I'm saying. Like a lot of kids not fortunate enough to grow up in that church background or just musician background, whether it's
Right.
playing band in school or whatever the case. A lot of kids are kind of bypassing that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's kind of we losing receipts by doing that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I mean, this is nothing new because I mean, in hip hop is literally based on the art of sampling. But like I look at it like I'm fortunate enough to be a dual producer. Like, yeah, I can go chop a sample crazy. Play on top of it where you wouldn't even know where the sample is in the beat. But I can also make something original too. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like once we start sampling everything, it ain't gonna be nothing left in 40, 50 years. We done sampled everything. And we kind of already getting to that point because I be hearing records and I be like, damn, that record just came out 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, it's just, I don't know, bro. I guess we just getting old, bro. So we gonna have our complaints. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's like every generation complains about the younger
Exactly,
generation. So yeah.
exactly, bro. Back in my day, we used to say, you know what I'm saying? Like I guess that's just
Right.
how I go, bro.
You mentioned earlier that you come from a family of musicians. Some producers, they have supportive families, and some producers, they have families that kind of have to, go get yourself a real job. Don't just make beats and make music. So, what was
Right.
your journey like from creating music in the church to pursuing music production as an actual profession? Was that the family supportive, or was they kind of like get a real job?
It was both. Super supportive and get a real job. You know what I'm saying? And like they kind of it was like I had this balance of optimism and realism all in one. You know what I'm saying? Super optimistic because it's like, sky's the limit. And my people, they believed in me, they've been training me as a musician since I was a little kid, you know what I'm saying? So, it's not like this is just something I stumbled across. Like I've been doing this since before I was conscious enough to even know what I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, I mean, hey, until it work out, you gotta do something, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro, man, I had a host of jobs, bro, all types of jobs, man, over the years. Like I went to school my freshman year, no, after my freshman year, came home, I thought I was just gonna be making beats all day. Nope. I was like, "Nah, you gotta go get you a job," you know what I'm saying? So, that was kinda like a reality check early when I was like, I think I had just turned 19 or something like that, so it's like, damn, like, I'm getting older, so, like, obviously, I gotta support myself and get in the habit of living by that mantra, "You don't work, you don't eat," you know what I'm saying? So but at the same time, bro, they were always super supportive, bro, like, I remember being in college, bro, having little to no money, and, there's beat battles coming in town where they charging producers $200-300 just to enter the beat battle, you know what I'm saying? And,
Wow.
I hit my grandma like, "Yo, like, I really wanna do this beat battle," and the prize is to, just to be able to say, "Hey, I want a beat battle that was judged by such and such." But, they never looked down on my dreams, bro, or like whatever I needed to do to try to make a play, you know what I'm saying? They were right there with me, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, bro, they never discouraged me at all, like ever. You know what I'm saying? Even when it was looking like won't nothing happening, they were still like supportive, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm thankful for that, bro, because a lot of people don't have that encouragement along the way, especially when times get rough, you know what I'm saying? Or it's looking like there's no motion at all, you know what I'm saying? I was just there, bro, just a few years back, bro, really just trying to figure it out. Yeah, bro, my people are always supportive, bro. So shout out to them, man.
Okay, yeah, that's what's up. Now, your entry into the music business itself, what was your first placement that had you feeling like, okay, I've arrived. I'm really a producer. I'm really doing it.
Man, I tell people all the time, in my mind, I had already made it when I started working with Les, So like coming up, I've always, especially when I was in high school, college, I'm a student of the blog era. Like I was in college during the days of Prime Wiz and, Spitter, Smoke Dizza, Les, of course, Big Crit, you know what I'm saying? The cool kids, you name it. Like that was during my early years. So Les was somebody I was listening to just as much as anybody, you know what I'm saying, back in the early 2010s, you know what I'm saying? So to go from listening to him when I was in college to what I think was maybe like 9 to 10 years later, we working and that shit. At this point, I think we got like 11 projects that I've produced top to bottom. In my mind, when me and him started working, I made it. Even now, granted, he's an independent artist. He's never been signed to a label, never had a label push, no big machine behind him, any of that. But the way he move around, you would think he got a whole infrastructure behind him, but the whole time it's just him and his team. So yeah, man, once me and him started working, bro, back in 2021, I was already kind of like, I'm not gonna say content, but kind of gave myself a pat on the back. Like, this is full circle. I'm working with an artist that I grew up listening to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, through him, bro, for sure. Through working with Les, bro. Even if the Summer Walker record would have never happened, just being able to work with Les, bro, and him being somebody that I grew up admiring their artistry, that was already enough for me, low key. So, the Lord just ended up blessing me, bro, with with one of them ones after that. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, shout out to my boy Les, bro, for real, because that was definitely my introduction to the music game. And it's the independent side, but I mean shit, bro. A lot of times, bro, that's the best side to be on. You know what I'm saying? So like even through him, I started seeing money every month from my music. Like before that, I was seeing little beat sales here and there, nothing crazy, but like doing whole projects with him and how we do our business, like, I was able to start seeing money every month, so I was like, okay, this is fire. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, I'm actually making money from my music every month without even having a song with a major artist. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro. Shout out to Les, bro.
You mentioned working with Les. I kind of feel like there's a lot of like passion behind that, the work that you do when you work with Les. Independent artists tend to be able to live in like a very pure lane, and
Right.
producers tend to not really know where to go. Do I chase the major placement? Do I look for a person like Les? Do I find someone in my city? Where exactly do I send my beats to? Do I put them on YouTube? How would you advise producers to focus in on a target so that way they can create a strategy so they can grow their
Right.
career?
Right. So, I mean, I can only speak from personal experience, bro. But for me, it was all trial and error. So, like as you mentioned, there was a time where I was working with a artist locally, what I'm saying, from Fayetteville, one of the hardest rappers still to this day, as far as I'm concerned. I did that for a while and stuff didn't really pan out the way you wanted it to, but it was cool. I ain't tripping, I just kept it going. So from there, I just started trying to search around for artists to work with. So man, it may be like 2020 or so. I'm not sure if you're familiar with AJ Snow, but he was one of the first artists that I had reached out to, and we actually started working. Um, so I did that for a while, and then even through that, I was able to kind of build an ecosystem, like a little network, of different producers reaching out to me and vice versa. And then with Les, that was, I mean, it's crazy because I was just checking my Instagram one day, just like any other day, just checking my gram, and I got a message from him, and he like, "Yo, bro, your beat's fire. We need to do a whole album." I'm like, "Damn, all right." You know what I'm saying? And then, we went from that to, now we got 11. You know what I'm saying? So that was definitely a blessing, man, running into less. But I would say, even with that, man, sometimes you just got to take that shot, man. Whether it's a cold DM or whatever, man. Hey, bro, hit them up. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know. You really never know. Another thing you had mentioned was YouTube, man, bro. I was so late to the party with YouTube, bro. In all actuality, I was anti YouTube for years. Like, I remember when the type beat phenomenon started in 2012, 13, whenever that was. 'Cause I was still in school. And I would be like, man, I'm not putting my beats on YouTube for people to rip the URL. And now they got the MP3 and they just putting the song out. Like, I was against it for years, bro, until I went to LA, man. I think it was my first time in LA a few years back, like 2021. And I met a couple producers that were killing it on YouTube. I mean, killing it, just basically taking the YouTube views and redirecting that to their B stars and getting crazy sales. And
Okay.
I was like, damn,
Now, can you
if
say any
you
names or is that top secret?
as far as the producers,
Yeah.
oh yeah, nah, it's a couple of them. My man Hunger Force, he worked with quite a few people on the West Coast scene, Larry June, cats like that.
Okay.
Another cat named DJ Idea, same thing, killing it on YouTube, bro, and redirecting that to BeatStars. Who else? Who on the track? Can't forget my boy Foley. It was a couple producers over there, man, that really got me hip to the game. Where it's like, I had to look at the pros and the cons, because there's pros and cons to everything. I was like, okay, like the con to this is, people can just rip the URL, whatever, yeah. But it's like the pros are I can get my music in front of the world. And what better than the world? Everyone's on YouTube, bro, from here all the way to Zimbabwe, bro. Back to somewhere in Europe and all the way to Alaska. Everyone's on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, it was one of those if you can't beat them, join them situations. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hey man, let me just try it. So I got super consistent on YouTube into 2021. And I just started building a following on there, found my niche on there, just titling my beats, a 90s R&B or 2000s R&B type beats to where, I just start and it's not a small sector, but that's a very niche sound. So you gotta know what you're doing, making stuff like that. That ain't like just making, your standard. Well, I'm not gonna say standard, but just making like a trap beat or whatever. Like you gotta have that soul, that's that smoothness in you to, make those type of beats. So yeah, man, I built a following doing that. It's just saying all that to say, bro, just trial and error, bro. You just gotta figure it out, like whatever it is you're trying to do. So even with me, bro, like the summer record, bro, man, bro, that came out of nowhere. Like it came out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was beating down LVRN's door or,
Right.
doing mass DMs trying to beg someone to get someone to listen to my beats or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It kind of just happened, bro. Like a lot of stuff is divine, bro. You just gotta put that work in, bro, and plant them seeds and had that faith. You know what I'm saying? That something will come up out of it. And can't guarantee the timing on anything, because boy, when I tell you, right before Heart of a Woman came out, bro, I didn't know what was going on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Wow.
32, bro. I'll be 33 next month. So like, and I've
Mhm.
been doing this since I was 15, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
feel
So
you.
like,
Yeah, I
it's
feel
like,
you.
man. And then again, I'm around the same age as the Metros and Lex Lugers and Sunny Digitals and cats like that. And so it's like, man, I felt like I was supposed to be on during their heyday, early 2010s, you know what I'm saying? And but man, it's like again, bro, it's all about timing, bro. It's all about trial and error, trying to figure it out. And it's cliche, but man, as long as you keep working, bro, like something will happen, especially if
Mhm.
you got something.
Right. Now, you mentioned the summer record, Heart of a Woman. So let's go ahead and get into that. What was the process of you getting that placement?
Yeah, man. So I would it's actually kind of I'm not really sure, bro. To be honest, like, so there's two ways it could have happened. One, that beat was on YouTube for 2 years before the snippet came out last August. And it was actually my most viewed beat on YouTube at the time. I think it may have had like a 250,000 views, give or take, somewhere around there. But one day I also went through my email and I'm like, let me see if I sent this beat to somebody at her label. And sure enough, I did. I actually sent it to the A&R that hit me up when it was time to, go through the paperwork and, get the business right on the song. I had sent it to that A&R year and a half before the snippet. So this was whether it came from YouTube or whether it came from that A&R, regardless, it was a slow burn, bro. I made the Heart of a Woman beat in August 2022.
What?
You know,
Oh,
I
that's
sent yeah. I sent it to the A&R at her label 2023 sometime. I want to say early 2023. She didn't drop the snippet until August 2024. You know what I'm saying? So like that was something that was just brewing. And I had no idea, you know what I'm saying? It's funny because I remember making the beat, swear, bro. I remember making it. And I'm just listening to it. I hadn't even finished it. I think I just had it on loop. And I remember saying to myself, nah, this might be one of the most fire beats I've ever made. You know what I'm saying? Even with it being as simple as it is, I still remember saying to myself, like, nah, this is different. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I was right. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously we see, how well is done as far as, her writing a song to it. But yeah, man, that was something that was brewing for a minute, bro. So I can't say for sure if it was from YouTube or if it was from the A&R giving her the beat, how whenever he gave it to her. I really don't know, bro. So it's one of those for sure. You know what I'm saying? Most definitely.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
to me, that kinda tells me, like, the power of persistence and consistency. It's like, had you given up or had you maybe felt insecure about maybe getting a little bit older, because these days producers are getting placements at, like, 13 and 14 years old, and
Literally.
man, it's so crazy. I'm like, man, anyway,
Yeah.
it's
Insane.
mind blowing. But yeah, like just consistently working at your goal, working at your dream, not giving up, continuing to post, and just not getting like beat down mentally. And that's something that I notice sometimes producers can kind of like get in their own head and kind of just want to give up. But like, what are your thoughts on just remaining persistent in the face of like not really seeing any immediate results?
Yeah, man, that's actually a good question because man, I was just there. Like, me and my homie be talking all the time. Like, man, 12 months ago it was way different than now. You know what I'm saying? Like, is this damn near a 180, bro. It's like night and day the difference between last May and this May. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, it all stems from the persistent mindset that I had, bro, and just being resilient, bro. And just bro, to simplify it, in my mind, I had told myself a long time ago, if I stop, it's never gonna happen. Just that simple, bro. You know what I'm saying? If I stop, it'll never happen. So even when I started getting up there and hitting 30 and even hitting 31, it's like, damn, like, that big break or that one record or that one move that I'm trying to get to, set me up for years to come hasn't happened yet. But if I stop, it'll never happen. So I don't know, bro. I just told myself, bro, I gotta keep going till the wheels fall off, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because again, bro, like this, I look at it like this, bro. Like this is people gotta realize, especially producers, we gotta realize like this is still as user friendly music is now with the information age and technology just making stuff just where literally a kid can do it now. It's like, bro, you gotta keep going. There's no way around it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go through the fire sometimes. Like a lot of people not gonna be blessed to get on in middle school or have that hit record before they graduate high school or even in my mind, bro, it's funny. My whole plan was to go off to school. I went to East Carolina University out here in North Carolina in Greenville. My plan was to be on before I graduated in college. But I just knew that's how my story was gonna pan out, bro. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Tay Keith's story. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Tay Keith's story, but by the time he graduated college, he was already, you know what I'm saying? getting ready to go crazy. And I thought that was gonna be my story, bro. So like when I graduated college 2015, at that point I wasn't working with any artists, bro. I didn't have nothing going on, bro. Nothing at all. So that was a quick reality check where it's like, yeah, I thought that was gonna happen, but obviously it didn't pan out like that. So I was forced to get out there and go into the workforce, bro, and figure it out for years and years and years and years and years and years. You know what I'm saying? Like it took me between college and actually getting the summer record, that was almost 10 years, bro. That was a cool 9 years. You know what I'm saying? And that's a long time, But I kept at it though, bro. I kept at it. And I told myself, like, if I stop, it'll never happen. So I don't care how old I am, or I don't care when it happened. You know what I'm saying? It's just I know it will if I just keep going. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, of course, there were times, bro, where I was so discouraged, bro, or just feeling like, man, damn, not it can't will it happen, but like when it's gonna happen. I'm kind of getting impatient. And I even got like one of my close homies, like I'll never forget one time, bro, maybe like a year ago, year and a half ago, he was like, man, bro, what if you like 36, 37, bro, about to hit 40 and still trying to get that one, bro. Like, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? He had no negative connotation behind it. He was really just like, again, bro, you got the optimism and you got the realism. You know what I'm saying? So that had me thinking too, like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? But again, I was like, I just got to go through it. If I stop, it'll never happen. You know what I'm saying? And here we are now. You know what I mean? Like, we laugh about it all the time. Like, damn, bro, just last year, nigga, we were trying to. We was having the what if moments, and what if this don't pan out, or what if you don't get that record? And it's like shit, that's a thing of the past now.
Thankfully, man, that the consistency mixed with the persistence led you to where you are currently.
Yeah,
Speaking of that, in music production, a lot of times we talk about the gear and the loops and the 808s, but there's also the aspect of dealing with people and networking that
yeah,
sometimes I don't think is covered too much, maybe because it's not as exciting, maybe because it doesn't get people clicking on stuff too easily, but
yeah.
like kind of speak to us about the importance of networking and maintaining your reputation.
Man, to be honest, bro, I remember hearing years and years ago that when it comes to the actual music business, it's like 20% music, 80% business. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's something that always stuck with me, bro. But like, even more importantly, bro, whether it's music or regardless of the industry you in, like, I'm a firm believer in keeping your face good. You know what I'm saying? You gotta keep your name clean. Like you want people to speak on you in a positive manner, whether you around or not, and stuff like that'll carry you a long way, just having your names being mentioned in rooms you may not be in, but I've always been like that, bro. Like music aside, bro, like even on a personal level, you know what I'm saying? And not even to brag or anything, but bro, everybody I came up with, bro, like, when they see me now, or they speak on what's going on, they not even surprised, bro. Because it's like, man, you always been a good dude. You always been humble. You ain't never did nothing crazy to nobody, or try to snake nobody out to get to where I am. You know what I'm saying? So that's very important, bro. Just making sure your face is good, bro. Making sure your name is good. And even with networking, like I struggle with that coming up, bro. Cause like to be honest, bro, like I'm very reserved, bro, introvert, if you will. So it took me getting up out my shell, bro, to like really start seeing results on the networking tip. Flying to LA and being out there rubbing shoulders with people, and going back and forth to Atlanta, or wherever I gotta go, bro, for people to see me. Of course, everything's pretty much virtual now, but like what I've been realizing, nothing will ever be physically seeing somebody. You know what I'm saying? Being able to actually go in the studio and look at somebody and be like, oh, okay, this Tavaras Jordan. This the little nigga that did Heart of a Woman. You know what I'm saying? It just hit different versus sending beats off. And of course, it's super convenient, and that's how a lot of stuff, that's how the wheels are turning these days. But nothing will ever beat people actually being able to see you and peep you, and you know what I'm saying? Really, check you out for real, and I've never had a problem with that because, I always been cool, but I always been a smooth cat. Like it ain't, I don't have no ego. I don't have no type A personality where I got to run the room, and, I ain't, networking, bro. Honestly, I think the best way to go about that is just being who you are, because if you righteous or not, it you know what I'm saying? Regardless of how people try to paint themselves and whatever they want to portray to the world, it's like at the end of the day, like you know what's going on in your heart and in your mind and how you moving. You know what I'm saying? So for me, bro, it was fairly easy when I finally did start networking and talking to people because I'm just who I am, you know. But it's very important, bro. Even now, like you know, since Heart of a Woman came out, you know, certain producers been reaching out. So you know, I'm talking to different producers and, you know, trying to set up times for me to go to Miami and work with Hitmaker or go to LA and, you know, hopefully catch up with Business Boy or Black Tuxedo or whoever, you know. Networking is important, bro. For real.
Some producers are extremely introverted and they struggle. They're just scared to get out their rooms,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
Right.
they have the most fire beats ever. And it's like
Yeah, bro.
if they don't get out, then people it's gonna be hard for them to
Yeah.
build those connections.
Nah, most definitely, bro. Most definitely. And like, and, you know, I had always told myself, like, bro, ain't nobody coming to Johnsonville knocking on the door like where Tavares at. It's like I gotta go out here and get it. So whether that's sending beats to whoever email I can find or putting it on YouTube. It's like I have to present my stuff to the world. You know what I'm saying? Because how else they going, especially with me being an introvert, especially with me being, you know, a really out the way type of cat. Like, you know, there's certain stuff that I have to do as far as being proactive. Producers, we definitely, you know, there's a stigma with us kind of being like socially awkward and like you said, kind of just being off in the basement, you know what I'm saying? And not really interacting with people, you know. You know, which is, you know, it's true a lot of times, but you know, even with me being an introvert and really, you know, kind of being out the way and not really, you know, wanting to be on the scene like that, I've never like struggled with sociology and like actually interacting with people. That ain't, you know, prefer to just be chilling. But when it's time to like put in that work and network, you know, I get it done, man.
The Heart of a Woman placement, a lot of producers dream of having a placement that big with the artist that big like Summer Walker. So how has things changed for you? Like what kind of doors has opened up for you since landing that placement?
The biggest thing, man, Sony hit me up like, "Hey, what's up? What we doing?" You know, so I signed a publishing deal with Sony, man. Shout out to Lauren, shout out to Deshaun over at Sony Music Publishing. You know, they hit me up after that, man. And through them, you know, I've been able to fly back and forth to LA and Atlanta and work with different writers and producers, you know, which ties back into, you know, the networking. So that's been huge, bro. There's a lot of stuff going on that I'm not really seeing, you know, even as far as, you know, people maybe checking me out and I have no idea. You know, 'cause you never know who really looking at your Instagram or who looking at them credits to see who did what. You know, a lot of people kind of just, you know, sitting back and, you know, kind of just watching. So yeah, bro, it's been cool, man, working with Sony after the song came out. Then, you know, again, like different and even on my own merit, you know, working with different producers and writers that I, you know, built relationships with after the song came out, bro. It kind of just, you know, it introduced me to a bigger ecosystem, you know, which can, you know, in turn can increase the probability of me getting some more big records. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the biggest thing, bro. And then, you know, and other than that, just my family being able to see it, like, damn, he done did it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's been cool, bro. You know, just my family, man. But even with that, now I think about it, nothing's really changed because again, like they've always been in my corner, bro. They never questioned it or anything, you know. So like even now, bro, it's all cool. It's kind of just regular for me. You know, of course, you know, like, you know, my family, they love bragging to everybody. Yeah, you know, my cousin made that song, or you know, but you know, my sister bragging to her friends or whoever, so that's been cool. But yeah, but as far as like, you know, musically, bro, the only thing that's really changed is kind of opening up a bigger ecosystem for me to rub shoulders with with some peers, man. You know, so yeah, bro, it's been cool.
Nice, and that song has a particular sound to it. To me, it's so authentically 90s R&B. Now, no disrespect to other producers. I just gotta say this. Sometimes I hear producers trying to make 90s like a 90s R&B kind of aesthetic,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
get close, but they don't quite hit the bullseye.
Right, 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 right.
But with your sound, I hear you hit that bullseye right on the dot. Who are some of your music production influences when it comes to specifically that 90s R&B sound?
Oh yeah, for sure, bro. Number one, Devontae Swain, bro. Like, the Devontae Swain, bro. That's my guy, bro. Never met him a day in my life, but he raised me, bro. You know what I'm saying? And before I get into, my influences, just a side note, the reason why Heart of a Woman sound the way it does is because I literally come from that. I come from that sound. I was born in '92, and my mom, she was 21 when she had me. So musically, we grew up together, you know what I'm saying? So I vividly remember being in the car listening to Usher and Jagged Edge and Jodeci and SWV and Donnell Jones and Carl Thomas and Dave Hollister, Jaheim. Like, bro, I literally come from that, bro. On top of being a church musician, and this is a whole nother subject, but R&B and gospel music, bro, it's the same. You know what I'm saying? It's the same because you know what I'm saying. Cats was playing in the juke joint on Saturday, and what were they at Sunday morning? Right on the piano. You know what I'm saying? Like it's and again, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, bro, I literally come from that, bro. Like I'm a product of that. That's the music that's in my heart. That's the music that shaped me coming up. But yeah, Devontae for sure, bro. He's easily my biggest influence, and right under him, bro, is Jermaine Dupri. Jermaine Dupri, and his team, Brian Michael Cox and Manuel Seal, like, man, bro, like I still just ride around listening to old JD stuff, bro, because I just be like, man, his drums was crazy. Or, like, man, the way he had Buddy playing the guitar on this was just so crazy. So those are definitely my top 2 as far as like the R&B sound. And then man, as controversial as it is, man, bro, I got to throw Kales in there, bro. Like I have to, because that man, bro, recording artists are R. Kelly aside, bro. His production, man, because a lot of people don't know he was producing pretty much all his stuff. Now he had musicians, helping him as well, but he was behind the boards on pretty much all his stuff, bro. So those are my top 3 for sure, most definitely.
That's a great list you got there, man. I thought you was gonna say Kels, 'cause immediately started shaking my head because I know that authentic sound. I've had my moments listening to his production and just, like, blew my mind. I'm like, "Wow, just listen
Yeah,
how
man.
lush that is," and
Yep.
so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And, speaking about having your sound and your influences, some producers kinda struggle to create their own sound, you know? Sometimes they'll emulate someone, sometimes they'll kind of be all over the place. They wanna do what's the mainstream and what's popular. So, what
Right.
advice will you have for producers on them creating their own personal sound?
Man, to me, bro, being original is everything. But even as far as like actually breaking down that and the science behind being original, and again, I can only speak for me. Like I do a lot of stuff where like I got a homie that be clown. We kind of got an inside joke where, I got like this little lead run I be doing, and he be like, "Yeah, I know you got that from R. Kelly." You know what I'm saying? But it's like what I do, bro. I take all my influences, bro, and just use them as reference points instead of trying to emulate it. You know what I'm saying? So, the way my drums are simple, I kind of got that from JD, and certain stuff I do in my leads, I got from R. Kelly, and certain chords I may play, how lush they are, and the pads behind them giving it this cinematic sound. I got that from Devontae. You know what I'm saying? Versus just making a beat and trying to like sound exactly like them. It's like, nah, I take all my influences, put them in one big old gumbo, and you got the sound that I make. Which, so when you hear it, it's like, oh, he trying to sound like JD, or he trying to sound like R. Kelly. It's like, oh nah, like he came up on that '90s R&B, all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, bro, I look at being original as taking your influences, bro, and just using them as reference points, bro, and making your own sauce. Because everything derives from something a lot of times, especially with music. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man.
That's some great advice. I definitely appreciate that. Now, Tavares, what projects should the people be looking out from you coming up soon?
Yeah, man. So, I have another record with Summer, man. So hopefully it makes the album. Hopefully we make the final cut. Worst case scenario, it's all good because part of a woman is going on the album. That's pretty much a done deal. But we do have another record though. So hopefully that second record we have make the final cut. Yeah, other than that, bro, I'm kind of just working right now, bro. Nothing in specific that I'm working on. I'm kind of just in that networking phase of sending stuff out to different writers trying to get demos cut or, sending some of my loops to, bigger producers and vice versa. Bigger producers sending me stuff and, we kind of just trading ideas. So nothing specific, bro, that I'm working on right now. Man, I'm kind of just still on the high of having a heart of a woman do what it's been doing, like we just hit number one. Matter of fact, this is our second week number one on Billboard's adult R&B airplay charts, man. So I think we on month six, month seven of the song being out, and it's still going strong, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really just trying to soak it all in, bro, and not get caught up in, "Oh, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep going." I definitely have to keep going, but at the same time, it's like, bro, this is such a huge milestone for me. It's like, man, I can pump the brakes just a little bit, and kind of just reflect, like, damn, like, man, but I done came a long way from making beats on my grandma desktop computer in 2007, 2008 to, now I got a record that's being played on the radio all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, bro, nothing in specific, bro. I'm just taking the time, bro, just to appreciate having such a big record, bro, and just working on beats right now, man.
Absolutely. And congratulations on that record, man. And it's the authentic musical sound that many music fans know and love. And we definitely
Yeah, man.
appreciate that. Where can people reach you online if they want to stay in contact with you?
Yeah, man. So my social media handle is Tavaras Jordan across all platforms: Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. Even on BeatStars, you go on BeatStars and you're looking for some beats, just type in Tavares Jordan. I'm gonna pop right up. And it's so cool having such a distinct government name. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because I was talking to somebody not too long ago about like the different producer aliases that I had coming up over the years, and I remember one day I just had an epiphany one day. I'm like, man, you don't hear that name very often. A lot of times, if I run into somebody, I'm the only Tavares Jordan they've ever ran across. You know what I'm saying? Versus, and I'm just making up random names here. It's not even to, throw names under the bus, but like a name like a John Smith or a Brandon Johnson. Like, you kind of sure there's thousands of those names versus my name, bro. It's so distinct. Once you type that in Google, you're not gonna have to filter through 50 to 100 Tavares Jordans. It's gonna be just me, saying? So yeah, man, Tavares Jordan on all platforms, man.
Perfect. Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for joining the podcast and giving out all that good information. You are the first guest on this podcast, and you've kicked the door down, set the standard high, and we got many more great episodes to come. Mr. Tavares Jordan, thank you so much for joining my podcast. I sincerely appreciate you.
Yes, sir, man. Let's run it back toward the end of the year, man. Let's see if we get that Grammy nomination for Heart of a Woman, man. And yeah, we'll run it back.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to check in with you at that point, man. Get some more information, get some more game from you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, man. Take care. You have a great rest of your
Yes,
day.
sir. Me too, bro. Peace.